So I would like to thank very much to MAD for the chance now to present this, to have this presentation for you. We are today presenting a lighting solution, a lighting system that we have been developing for 4 years at first, and then in the second half of the presentation I'm going to show you some functionality that we worked on with MAD to make sure that we can translate this product into a 3D model, which is parametric. My name is Oliver Walter. I'm a German architect. I moved 20 years ago to Finland, to Helsinki, and I was working here as an architect in the first 4 years. And then I started my own architectural practice. I did building permits and small projects, but then I concentrated more and more on 3D modeling and lighting visualizations for other architects. And then I started a cooperation with lighting design LUO-light, and with LUO we had a lot of prominent, quite considerable in size lighting projects in Helsinki, in Finland, and also abroad. After that I've been doing more and more own lighting solutions, lighting products which I designed and also produced. So today the issue is mostly about LUO. LUO is a adaptive modular lighting system which we showed first time in last Habitare. It got a very positive reception there. So in the next presentation I show some of my lighting projects at first. Then I'll say a few words about this particular LUO-light concept. And then in the end I will showcase on a hands-on how to operate the parametric model that MAD was creating for this light. So this is a project that LUO-light and I were commissioned to do for Ramboll, the building engineering company, in 2005. We were commissioned to create a lighting concept for Hakamaintie, which was at that time under design. The problem with Hakamaintie was that, especially in the crossing that you can see here on the picture, where on the right you see Mannheimintie, it turns into Hämeenlinna and Väylä, and then this is Hakamaintie, that all this traffic was on one level, and this was supposed to be improved by distinguishing these two levels and having Hakamaintie underneath in a tunnel. And we identified this crossing as actually probably the most important crossing in whole of Helsinki, because it's actually really the gate into the city, and it connects the heart of the city with the north of the country. And what we did there, we suggested 3 light arcs which were made in steel and glass covered and had a light source, so-called cold cathode technology as a light source. At that time LED was not really yet believed to be a suitable lighting source at all for any purpose. This project we presented to the Helsinki City Council, and it got a fairly positive reception, to an extent that some people said that it was exactly this kind of gesture actually that this crossing would need. This project went so far that engineers from Ramboll, they calculated all the steel structures and to make sure that it would resist the wind loads and the snow loads and all vibration. But then it was dismissed because of the cost. Each of those arcs would have cost 1 million euros. But it is not said that eventually in the future something similar could eventually be done or will be realized. This is another project in Marianhamina. We were commissioned to design the lighting for the whole promenade, including the lighting of the ship, Pommen. Now I'm missing the the name of the ship. It's not Pommern. Pommern is a similar ship which is in Germany, I think. And this is a perfect example to illustrate that very often when there's a particular lighting project, it is not easy to find a ready product from any catalog. So it means that eventually to suit really the purpose, a concrete purpose, one has to, as a lighting designer, has to really adapt or design something from scratch. Here we have 60 centimeter high polars, which have an integrated spotlight, which is illuminating on the backside, which is illuminating the ship. These are some technical drawings. You can see that it's very minimalistic. There's an aluminium C profile. In the upper part, which is only 8 millimeter high, there are LED stripes included. And then within this, there's a conic wooden body, which hosts all the technique inside. And the wooden, the cone is actually acting as a reflector for the light for the LED light. This is very interesting for the students which are today here. This is very motivating actually for me to tell, because this is the first time that I recognize that you can actually produce a product. You can design and produce a product really from scratch with a fair amount of low budget. This is a 2008. I got the first idea, the first inspiration for Pare. It is actually inspired by this old traditional way that farmers have been illuminating their spaces by attaching wooden elements on metal holders on the wall, and then they were igniting this wood, and it was giving 10 to 15 minutes light. And this is a bit like a modern translation of that old light source. It consists of 3 plywood elements which are foldable. It means they are all connected with special aluminium gears which allow the turning of those elements by 360 degrees. So it means in the first head part of this luminaire, there's a thin LED panel included, which when intuitively interacting with the small lumina by adjusting the degree of openness, we can direct the light quality and the light amount. So to me, this is an aspect. As an example, it's very important to give the user the opportunity to interactively play with the light, and then by doing so, change the light quality and light amount. It makes it part of the user's experience. So here a few words to this new light that we presented at Habitare last fall. It is an adaptive modular lighting system, which again was inspired by the need often that when there's an interior space, you would like to have a light which is really adapting to the properties of the space. So often you have to buy some kind of ready product which is singular, which is just one element, and you place it somewhere, and it has just the statements that it has. But LUO-light is understands. This is another sketch that I would like to emphasize. This is the way that on the left side that light is usually luminous are usually thought of. You have a light source, which is typically like a bulb, and then there's something like diffuser which is built around it, which is diffusing and modulating the light. But by the fact that LEDs nowadays, LEDs are actually tiny little light sources, 3 times 5 millimeter, even smaller, it is really possible to think that one prints, or that you can print, or you can arrange them in space however you like them, think them fit. So this is what LUO is inspired from. This is another inspiration which shows actually quite well this modular system, this Brio children's toy. Why not translating this idea into a lighting system in a bigger scale? Why not having elements which you can flexibly connect to each other to create different shapes to make them fit into any space. So these are the modules that we are presently offering made. It starts actually with a module which hosts the power supply and the lighting control. We call this master module, the first module. We're 100 watt, and probably we are going to skip this 40 watt, so we are speaking now only 100 watt. And all these elements are in a modular system, which is oriented after the longest straight module, which is 1 meter 18 centimeters long. So we have, beside the power module, we have small arcs and big arcs, and the straight element, and that can be, as I said before, that can be arranged to any shape, circle, meander, or however. This shows the straight element, and it is to say that all these elements are done from bamboo material. And we are often asked, why bamboo, why not Finnish wood? We made a lot of trial and errors by using wood and MDF and veneer, and all these materials didn't really work because they either bent, they were cracking, or they were twisting. And when we then came to bamboo, it was really the solution, because it allowed us to have rather large span width and an incredible high amount of detail, which we could mill into this material for fastness and so on. So here you can see that the straight model, these are 4 of the small curved model, and you can imagine that they can be arranged to a circle. And then we have a bigger arc, and here you can see also 2 optical solutions. We have one diffuser, which is adaptive as well and modular as well. So we can take this diffuser off and we can replace it by a focused slit optical part, which is also made from bamboo. But then we can change from a very wide open lighting phenomena to a more bundled focused light. This is a computer simulation from close. Here it shows that how these elements are mechanically connected via supermagnets. And then we have mini connectors, which are making the connection between the electricity connection between the elements. We can adjust or fix this light straight to any surface, for example the ceiling, or we can suspend it. If it is suspended, we have the option to have 2 lighting components, one which goes upwards to illuminate the ceiling, and another component which goes downwards, which has the main function to illuminate the space. Or we can we can switch them all together. This is actually an illustration. By the way, I want to mention Joachim Pusenius, which is also here, who is taking care of the visual identity of this product and who is doing all the photography. Here Joachim took images of the side of the straight element, and it's all the same lumina, just with differently activated light components. So we can also, beside activating upper and lower part, we can also change the color temperature from warm to cool in any gradient. And it's a little bit, this image I just put there because it's a little bit really, it's very difficult to estimate where an inspiration comes from, but the Finnish landscapes, the Finnish midsummer nights mood on the lakeside is really something that I could really take as a comparison for the lighting effect that we can achieve with this light. This shows that we are actually having Bluetooth remote lighting control incorporated, which allows us to remotely operate the light and each of the components. In fact, this is a screenshot of a application that anyone can load to a handheld device. And here you can see, in fact, these 4 sliders. They're actually the 4 lamps that we have included in this body, in this lamp. the two upper that take care of the uplight. We have the option to have cool white or warm light, and we can mix them all together. And the same thing is valid for the downlight component. But once it is not really needed to have this phone to operate the light, this is just to define the scenario, and then it can be operated by any wall switch, traditional wall switch. So now I would like to turn into the Archicad library demonstration. This Archicad Archicad library was really made possible by the support by MAD, and we are really grateful for this excellent work, especially also the programmer Heikki Makki, who did this programming. It is really a marvelous tool to really showcase how strong these GDL objects are, what a potential they have for anyone who is using them. For me as a designer, or for us as a company who want to really make this light known, it's a real convenient way to spread knowledge about it. So what we did, we host this library as a downloadable file from our webpage. We announced that already to some architects and designers. And the next image that I want to show, this is from Päivi Karjalainen from design studio in Tampere. And she downloaded this file, and she immediately used it for her interior design project. So this is a co-working space in Tampere, and she sent us this image with these different constellations, and she was asking us for a price offer. Unfortunately, the client was not really at that point able to afford this, but this is another thing that I would like to emphasize. We are now really searching for first installation possibilities, so that whenever anybody of you knows an opportunity, please let us know. And we are also really ready to discuss about the price, so that we are giving it out for the first interesting installations for the production costs only. So let's turn into Archicad. So after downloading this LUO-light library, you will have the option, you will find the functionality either in object and under lamps. When you go into object, you will find the power modules. Here you have the option to adjust the power. Let's say, just a moment. This is now something which I don't understand. Anyway, let's keep it now with 40 wattages. So we place it in here. As you can see, this is now suspended. It has a wire suspension. We can take it and we can position it now on the ceiling. Let's say that it is 2,500 millimeters, 2.5 meters from the floor. And then, because I know that the standard height in Archicad of the floor levels are 3 meters, we put 500 millimeter for the wire suspension. Okay, now we can go into lamps to add our first module. We have 4 options here, 3 of them representing the main modules: the big arc, the small arc, and then the straight one. Let's start with, and then the 4th option, it's a tool which I'm going to enter last, which is the most interesting. So let's start with the straight. Here, by the way, you have all the different settings. Here we can change the light intensity, color temperature for each of the different modules, upwards and downwards. And okay, let's put this in. Here we have to take care of the just a moment, of the alignment manually. This is very convenient when there are just a few lights in the scene. Here we can see that we have to also adjust the height. We have to put it to 2,500, 2.5 meter, wire suspension 500. So now it is aligned. Here you can see now that we have the diffuse optics chosen. We can change that if we want to prefer the slit optics. For that we go into the settings and change the parameter from diffuse to slit. So here we have a very simple constellation here of LUO. But now if we want to go into more complicated shapes, we go into lamp. Let's say, for example, straight. We choose the big arc. No. And then again, I suppose it is probably not the right height. Yes. So we have to change also this one to 2.5 meters from the floor. 500 wire suspension. And now we have to align it manually. Okay, now we have a combination of slit optics and diffuse optics. And you can see that it's a bit stressful to do this all manually, step by step. If you just want to have one element, that's fine, but this is now really the marvelous functionality of this GDL tool. I delete everything. Now we choose the chainer functionality, and what Heikki has been programming here is I go back into the chainer settings. There's a convention for every module in this LUO system, a naming convention. It is written here. Small l is the shortening for small arc. Small r is the shortening for this small arc turning to the right side, and then the same with the large straight module. The shortening is S, and the power module is A. Big A. A for the small one and big A for the. Let's now go into this field and just define our lumina. Let's start with the power module. As before, we have the power module suspended. Now we can enlarge that by just going into the chainer settings again and add whatever we would like to. For example, we want to start with the straight module. We just press S, decide, and you can, by the way, see it also here in the preview. You can put a second S and see how does it affect it in the scene. Now let's go a bit more crazy and add, let's say, a big arc, writing a big R, a small arc to the left, again maybe it's two straight ones, and then a big arc to the left, just as an example. And it just automatically draws it into space instantly, and you don't have to do any adjustment there. What is very interesting is that because we have a power module which is 100 watt, and each of those elements has its own power consumption. So how does the customer know how many of those elements do they need to be connected with one power supply? The chainer has an interesting functionality. We can add text with a power calculation, which we can activate here. I have to select it first. Okay, so it says that power consumption is 190, and the power produced by that power module is 100. it means that we need more power supplies. And by solving that, we can see that it's very nearly double. So we need just to go into the lamp settings and add another last power supply in the end. And now we can see that the power is actually sufficient for the whole system. Just still shortly, what do we do when we want to have, for example, a circle? How do we draw a circle? We just want to draw a big circle. We just write 4 times big letter L. As you can see, there's no power supply. There's no power supply possible in a circle because it's a length element. So that means actually that we have to add a separate power supply to the ceiling, which is possible as well. Or what do we do if we want to have a small circle? We just repeat this with the small letter L. Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to show, and I have to again emphasize how valuable this tool is for us, because we are faced really as a small company with a problem. How do we get our product known? How do we get it sold? How do customers know about it? And it is more and more difficult, to have retailers involved, because many of the retailer shops are closing because it simply cannot make profit to sell. Everything moves to the internet, to online shopping and so on, and also that is increasing actually the price of products. So what we hope actually to achieve with this GDL objects is that just by the simple downloadable that it's possible to download it and distribute it to customers, that it will help us to generate also some awareness of this product, and then hopefully also some sales. So that's actually all what I wanted to show, and I wanted to mention that the light is actually there in the corner, so everyone who is after this happening here interested to hear more about it, so we are ready to give some information about it. But if there are any questions, I'm not sure, are we in time? A couple of minutes. If there are questions, then I'm gladly answering. But especially for the students, I would really like to say that there are so many interesting, probably you know already, this kind of public spaces where you can print, you can 3D print your designs, and for example, Audi is opening. There's one story in the city library which has a lot of 3D printers and 2D cutters, and so and then another thing that I need to mention is that much for the LED lamps. This is a product which is done in Finland by Finnish manufacturers, but we source the LED, actually the lamp itself, the LEDs, we source from China, and that's something also for you interesting to know. There's this Alibaba internet platform, this e-commerce where you can just, if you need something, purchase something, test something, you can just write your request there, and then you get instantly, after 1 or 2 days, you get answers and first price quotes. So it's, for me, this is very encouraging. So it's really very, very possible nowadays to develop and to manufacture yourself with low costs, considerable low costs. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.